Morning guys, it's Monday morning, 21st of October. Back on the Yukon here. I got it, that first coat of base shot last night, which you'll see a clip of. But what I ran into could have been from the heaters, could have been something else. But my repair area in here, I had some fish eyes and I dry sprayed them to get rid of them, which worked. But then, like a jackass, I grabbed a tack rag and wiped down the next coat because I thought, I didn't realize I sprayed it as dry as I did, and it left lint from the tack rag in the base coat, of which I didn't notice until I put the next coat on. So I walked away from it last night, and I'll tell you what I did. We took the finishing GA with the soft interface pad and a 1500 grit wet, and got all the trash out of it. It's looking good now. This ought to fly. All I have to do this morning is put a couple coats of base on it and clear it, and we're good to go. Keep my fingers crossed that we don't have any issues. We shouldn't. Got the temp cranked up in here a little bit. It's about 11 o'clock, 10:30. It's almost 80 degrees in here. So I'm going to let the heat run for a little bit longer and get a final wipe on this, make sure it's clean. Sorry about the shaky cam. And get it on the go. Enjoyed the mumble last night. We did that. Oh shoot, it was almost midnight before we got done. So that was pretty cool. Always enjoy talking to you guys. You know who you are. So that's what we got going on this morning. And we're gonna, upon a recommendation, throw just about a 10% reducer in that AG40 when I shoot it, so I don't have to hammer it so hard to get it to flow, and see what we got there. So I'll bring you guys in here. We'll get some paint mixed up and all that happy hoopla. Figure out what I did with the camera stand here. You guys are probably just now getting to the other set of videos on this where we repaired the interior, and I didn't show block and primer on the exterior or the interior. We just got it ready to go and started to shoot the base, but that's how I fix one of those dum-dums when it happens, as far as getting trash in it. Sometimes I'll push the envelope and wait a couple hours and then block it out by hand with some 1500. I've gone as low as 800, but I don't have any, so I had to go with 15. Kind of by necessity, it's what I had. So we got a little bit of paint still in the cup from last night, which is the cool thing about those PPS cups. They have those little caps on them, and if you're not using the caps, those make good little cups for putting a little bit of base or clear in for doing touch-ups or primer or whatever. You can see I reuse my gloves a little bit here too. I got a whole case of them, but I try not. I'm pretty bad about wasting materials when it comes to gloves and towels and things like that. But what the heck, right? I want to make sure I don't have a problem with my work, so try and keep my hands gloved up as much as possible, because fish eyes are no fun. The other reason I might have got fish eyes in that was I hammered the first coat on a little heavier than I should have. It was getting late, and I know better, but it seems like every time I get in a rush, I just go back to my old ways. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up the rest of this base. Even though I won't use it, it'll keep. And basically what I do is I'll mix this up, and then I'll put it back in the can and shake the can if I know that's going to be the end of it. But today I know I won't use it all, so we'll just mix up what we got here in the cup. and then pour that back in the can. As long as there's no activator in it, it is good to go. Pour back. Indefinite pot life. Now, I think it was Bee Bugging Out who's doing the Beetle. Was questioning in a video a day or two ago about everything has an activator except for your base coat. Well, that's true to an extent. There is a base coat activator. The MX57 is the base coat activator. I don't know, that's a little dark out here. You don't have to use it, and I only use it sometimes. One thing you can do is with the MP500, the clear base, you can put that activator in there and use it as a cut-in clear, and by that I mean to clear over like a underside of a hood or a fender, because those are usually a dull finish on them, and sometimes they just put activator in the base coat itself and spray it to make it a little more stable. It's not going to be UV resistant, but you can always put that in there. I believe it's 5% by volume. 5 to 10% by volume. I have to relook at that. I did use that activator in the base when I shot the interior because I didn't want any reactions as I was spraying the edges. Now, you won't always have that problem, but I find that in the cooler shop temperatures, once in a while I'll experience a lifting problem. So that can help with that because it actually kicks the base off. So that's just something to keep in mind, I guess. So I will leave you with those tips for now, and I'll bring you back after a while. Alright guys, we're going to get down to business here. Same drill as before. We're going to use the plus. I put the 1/4 tip in it today. We're going to give that a round and see how we do with that. We've got some color blender in the gun. After I wet sanded this, I noticed some light areas. So probably what we're going to do is hit this with a coat of color blender in here, or in the whole panel, and then we're going to focus some base over here and in the center. And then I will step that base out. I know it's a little cloudy, but you can certainly see, you could have seen, I don't know if the camera would have picked it up, but you could see a little lightness around this area and around this area. So we'll do this one more here after that flashes and get it on the go. So we'll catch you guys in a... Alright guys, all of the base has been setting for about a half an hour here. Ended up having to spray it a little drier than I wanted to, but turned out good. So we'll see what happens once we throw some clear on it. If I fudge it up, at least it'll have clear on it and it'll lock down whatever's underneath it. But Seems to be looking good. As usual, we got the Iwata LPH 400 1.3 tip. I'm going to spray it at about 18 psi to 20 psi, somewhere in that range. Full flow on the needle. And I'm going to do a quick spray out here and see where we're at. Alrighty, looking good. So I'm probably going to spray in my offsets here first in this handle, real light, and in that lock, and then we'll get after it. Alright, that's coat number one. We're going to let that flash about 10 or 15 minutes. I already see a piece of shit that landed in it in a couple spots. Oh well, I can see one right there, right on that edge. We're going to let that flash and then we'll pound the second coat on it. So we'll bring you back then. Alright, while we're waiting for that to flash, we'll set a timer here on the old iPhone. And we'll double check that with the old stringy test where I touch it with my finger. So we'll have a little chat here. I'll get this set. Yeah, I watched a couple videos the other day. Watched Tom's Wonderful World, and he was working on the hood of that EV project that he's got on that Honda Civic, I believe it is. So that's pretty cool. Fixing hail damage, and I thought that turned out pretty good. I haven't shot that. I think it's MP3HS, the high solids matrix fill primer, 2K primer. Looks like it did a pretty good job. I've been shooting that MP200, which is direct to metal, which again is for anything smaller than 6 inches, just like most urethane 2K primers. I assume that it's got some sort of adhesion promoter in it or something like that, but it stands pretty good with 400 and then 600. And on this project we used the polyester primer, the feather fill, to fill all the corrosion pits on the backside, and that turned out pretty good. What else did I see? I saw a video of Darren's doing those pieces parts for that bagger. That's a pretty cool color, and I really like the way that bus turned out. That color combination is pretty slick. I'm looking forward to trying some of that MS78 clear. That looks like pretty nice stuff too. I watched a video on Matrix website. If you're not subscribed to that, they put up a technical video every now and then, and it's not called Matrix Refinish. It's KR Mac 1, I think. I'm not sure. I think it's Kevin Mack. It's a guy who does the videos, but I watched that video on that MS78, which is a Euro style clear coat, 2-to-1 high solids. But it looks like it flows out a little better than the AG40, which the AG40 carries a serious price tag. It's the most expensive one, I'm pretty sure, in the Matrix lineup. It is damn nice clear though. It really, I haven't seen any dieback with this clear at all. Whereas with like the Speed Clear, a lot of times I'll see some dieback in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a gallon of that. I saw he had a promotional quart there, just like the MP200 I have here, that primer. That was a gimme at the store. They're giving it out for trial. The MS78's been out for a little while, a couple months I think. At least that's how long it's been since I saw that video. That stuff looks like it flows pretty good, and I just dropped 10% reducer in that AG40, and that I was afraid to really get up on it and hammer it on there. It seems to flow a lot nicer out of that 1.3 tip with just a splash of reducer in it. So I just got to keep reminding myself to slow the hell down with it. It's only got a 1.3 tip in it, but it does atomize the hell out of it. It does a really nice job. Like the Segola, it really turns that clear into a fine mist. The only problem I had was the AG40 is a little thicker, so it doesn't come out of the gun as fast, so you either really have to slow down and pile it on there, or like I did today, per recommendation, threw 10% reducer in there, and that looks pretty good. So hopefully we won't have any issues with that. It's starting to get cold here in Ohio, so the shop temps at night are not warm, and I let base coat set overnight last night just because I didn't want any solvent entrapment problems. I've had that before. I need to start letting my primer go overnight no matter how much I put on there. The MP200 is supposed to be a 2-hour primer, but that's at 77 degrees, and you can get a lot of problems from not letting your primer cure all the way. It'll shrink up, or there'll be solvent trapped in it, and you'll go to put your base coat on, and it'll start to map it a little bit, which I had a little bit of that today, but I ended up remedying that by wet sanding it out. The solvent was trying to escape. It wasn't solvent popping, but it wasn't laying flat over the repair areas, and it was laying the base was laying beautiful over everything else. So that's when I said I dusted on the base. I put it on lighter than I like to. That's a way to get away from it, because when you start piling fresh solvents on something that's got a little bit of solvent left in it, it'll try and continue to pull out. So you just got to be careful with it. That's not really the right way to do it, but it's a get out of jail way to do it when you're in the booth. You really don't have a choice. So that's pretty cool. Talked on the Mumble last night with the YTGG and Tom's Wonderful World, and I think Tony got in there a little bit later from Time to Tinker. Missed you last night, Jerry. Hope everything's okay, buddy. And Greg Snow Crusher, saw your mini bike video. That was pretty cool. Missed you guys last night too, so that's what I got going on for now. We're going to get this wrapped up here, and as soon as it's out of dust, I'm going to ship it outside and get it in the sun so that it'll cure up real good, so I can nib the dust out of it tomorrow and get her done. So I'll cut you guys off right there, and I'll bring you back for that second coat and then a final shot. Alright guys, it's ready to go. Now that I got clear on it, you can see that little dent that didn't get fixed. It was out of my repair area right there, but she's ready to go. A little sticky in here, but I touched a corner down here and it seems to be okay. So let's let her rip. Alright guys, a little later, same afternoon, I think it's about 4 o'clock now, and I got it unmasked except for where the handle goes and the button for the window and the wiper and the park rest there. But turned out good, aside from the trash. Yeah. So we're gonna have to denib it. There's trash everywhere in it. Unfortunately, I'm probably gonna have to wet sand the whole thing, but we have the technology to deal with that. And you can see how shiny it is. It's plenty shiny. We'll see what it looks like in the morning. Hopefully it doesn't die back. But it's about 72 degrees here in the shop now, with able to get the door open. The sun is shining. Oh yeah. So that's where we're at for right now with this one. I will probably not be doing a cut and buff video for this, just because I'll need to get it shipped. I have to go back and work tomorrow. Time to mow a little bit of grass, clean up some leaves, do that sort of thing. So the reducer and the clear made it go on real nice and slick. If the base was even slicker, like I said in my last video of the other Suburban, if the base is slick, the clear will go on slick. But this one, I didn't want to tempt fate and pound the base on it, because I started to map my repair out when I did that. So I had to wet sand that off and start over, plus the fisheye problem. But she's all done now. Just give her a quick cut and buff. One last look for you guys there at the dirt and all.